taught the physical and genetic characteristics of people with Down syndrome. So before we start, there's like a pre-test on the paper I gave you, so just kind of fill that out with your best guesses. And hopefully I'll cover everything that's on. Down syndrome is one of the most common intellectual disabilities, causing mental retardation, and it is caused by the addition of an extra chromosome 21 during meiosis. And so this
Down syndrome, also known as Trisomy 21, is a genetic disorder that was identified in 1866 by John Lyman Down. An individual with Down syndrome has a part of or a whole extra chromosome in between his parents, hence the name Trisomy 21. During meiosis, one pair may not split or partially split, which will result in 3 chromosomes in the final embryo. People with Down syndrome generally have more almond-shaped eyes, poor muscle tone, only one major fold in their palm, and a protruding tongue due to the small oral cavity. Most individuals with Down syndrome also have mild to moderate mental retardation, as well as a higher tendency to have congenital heart attacks. Through all this, they tend to be very kind and happy people.
Trisomy 21 does not qualify as mutation, dominant, recessive, or sex-linked, but it is a trait that affects approximately 1 in every 800 to 1,000 births, so the chance of having a child with Down syndrome is greatly influenced by the age of the mother.
it said in the video, Down syndrome is caused by the addition of an extra chromosome 21 during meiosis. A child will get 2 copies of chromosome 21 from the mother and 1 copy of chromosome 21 from the father, and that's when Down syndrome occurs. And it's also possible that something called translocation occurs, where an extra chromosome 21 is attached to another chromosome. This is like an animation of what happens in the cell, because I think it's kind of easier to watch it happen than for me to tell you. So that was what would happen for a normal cell. This is what it looks like. That's kind of the genetic part of how it happens, and most of the rest of my presentation is about like what people with Down syndrome can and can't do, and what their physical appearance is. So some common misconceptions: older parents that are the only kind of people who have children with Down syndrome. This is obviously false. It's it's more likely that if a mother is older than 30 that she will have a child with Down syndrome, but 80% of kids who have Down syndrome actually have mothers who are younger than 30. And another misconception, a child with Down syndrome negatively impacts their siblings. This is also false. There's no damaging or harmful effects on children who have siblings with Down syndrome. It's just like any other family. People who have Down syndrome die young. People who have Down syndrome actually have a life expectancy of somewhere around 50 years, so younger than an average person, but not extremely young. And actually, African Americans with Down syndrome have a much lower life expectancy of 35 years, and they don't really know why. It's just another misconception is people who have Down syndrome cannot walk or play sports. This is false. We have kids in our special education program here at school who have Down syndrome, and they walk around school. They can do pretty much everything that everyone else can do. Physical defects. So the symptoms of Down syndrome range from mild to severe. They can cause learning disabilities and developmental delays. Typically, people with Down syndrome have a different facial structure and appearance of their hands and feet. So like you can see in these pictures, both of them have more almond-shaped eyes and light-colored spots underneath their eyes, like the kid on the bottom. They usually have flat noses and a protruding tongue, like you can see in both of those pictures. They have a protruding tongue because their oral cavity is really small, so it just causes their tongue to stick out more. Typically, kids with Down syndrome have more round faces, smaller heads that are flat in the back, and straight hair, that's fine with it. And their feet and hands. So their feet, there's a wide gap between their big toe and their second toe. Usually people without Down syndrome will have two creases on their hands, like one right here and one right here. But people with Down syndrome only have one crease straight across, so that's what it's showing in that picture. And are there any questions? Yeah?
So how does Down syndrome affect people's ability to read and write?
So obviously they have developmental delays, so they're going to be learning at a lower level than kids our age. But yeah, they'll just be learning slower, and it's going to take them longer to grasp concepts like when kids are really young, like eating and blowing and stuff like that takes a lot longer to learn, because they actually have to learn it instead of just being able to adapt to it like someone without Down syndrome. Yep.
When can Down syndrome be detected?
Down syndrome can be detected before a child is born. Yep. Yeah.
Would you say it's beneficial for them to play sports and stuff?
Yeah, because something I didn't mention in this presentation was that people with Down syndrome have a higher likelihood of becoming obese, just because that's how their genetic makeup is. So being physically active is really good for their cardiovascular health and their muscle tone, because generally people with Down syndrome have a lower muscle tone also.